Life is war, but you've been fighting with wooden swords. After all, you've been told that loyalty breeds loyalty, that goodwill earns respect, and that kindness ensures security. A lie. A comforting illusion wrapped in the desperation of those too afraid to see the world as it truly is. Machiavelli wrote, "The one who fears losing holds power until they face someone who cannot be lost." That's the battlefield we're about to enter, where power is not claimed by clemency, but by control. Where fear of your absence becomes your greatest weapon. Let's shatter what you've been taught. This is not about fairness or balance or even morality. It's about influence so formidable that losing you feels worse than submission. We're stepping into the mind of Machiavelli, the man who dared to see power not as a tool, but as architecture, designed, sculpted, then fortified against weakness. He didn't just reveal the rules of the game, he ensured he never had to beg to play. In this video, I'll give you 5 forbidden strategies forged in that same ruthless precision, 5 rules that you use or the world uses on you, each of them stripped from the illusions that shield the weak, each designed to transform you from disposable to irreplaceable. But beware, this isn't for everyone. Would you rather be feared or ignored? If this already tastes dangerous, subscribe because we're only just beginning, and the sharpest truths are still waiting. You've been taught to show you care, to wear your heart on your sleeve. It makes you approachable, they said, relatable. But here's the truth. The more they know about you, the less they fear losing you. The more accessible you are, the less valuable you become. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are quick to forget the death of a father, but not the loss of their inheritance." What does this mean? Your worth, your effect on others, comes not from attachment, but scarcity. You must become the inheritance they cannot afford to lose. Indifference is not apathy. It is a weapon, a mask that conceals your desires while amplifying theirs. It is the art of pretending not to need while others need you more. When you remove emotional availability, you create a void, a space where their imagination will do the work for you. What you don't say becomes louder than what you do. They fill in the blanks with obsession. They question themselves more than they question you. A mask of indifference bends reality itself, tilting every interaction in your favor. So how do you begin? Start with silence. Hold back when your instinct demands you overgive. Be kind, but not available. Be polite, but not eager. You see, attachment is like offering someone a leash, and once they hold the loop, you've already lost control. To Machiavelli, dependency was a sickness. He believed that to rely too heavily on another is to surrender the power dynamic entirely. Weakness is never what they see. It is what they sense. So you must condition yourself to let go before others try to hold on. Think of value like water in a desert. The less there is, the more it is chased. Contrast this with rivers in the rain. The more abundant and accessible you seem, the less urgency they feel to preserve you. Now ask yourself, would you rather someone chase you out of desire or forget you in comfort? Most people don't have the courage to confront this question because it feels cold, calculated even. But strategies that command respect are never built on comfort. Machiavelli understood the power of withholding, of making even kings come to him. His indifference was neither cruelty nor apathy. It was clarity. Clarity that the moment you need someone's approval, you hand them your leash. What then do? You extend yourself sparingly and strategically. You go silent after giving them just enough. Create mystery. Speak when it counts, and retreat into silence when it doesn't. People, after all, are haunted more by the words they want to hear than the words they've already been given. And while you pull back, your aura grows. They will analyze your absence, overthink your silence, question why they no longer see you everywhere they look. And in that void, their desire thrives. What you are doing is creating perceived scarcity, appearing less accessible while becoming more valuable. This isn't acting disinterested. It's knowing when to step back so they learn to fear losing you. But beware, this strategy demands discipline. You'll feel the urge to explain yourself when they question your silence. Resist. You'll want to chase them when they pull back. Wait instead. Control is patience disguised as indifference. Rarely stepping forward while ensuring the world constantly leans in. So let me ask you, can you sculpt your aura into something potent enough to create obsession? Not through action, but through absence. Does thinking of yourself as both the source of value and its gatekeeper make you uneasy? Good. The mask of indifference is uncomfortable. It feels risky, but only to those still desperate for security. Once you settle into scarcity, you'll realize how much louder their needs become the quieter you grow. Indifference is not given. It is earned, carved from the discipline of withholding. You don't have to be cruel. You don't have to be dismissive. You simply have to shift the balance of power until they chase you instead of the other way around. If this feels strangely powerful, pause here because the next strategy is even sharper. Power through your silence. Stay with me. The lesson deepens. A raging fire is mesmerizing, isn't it? It roars, devours, destroys. But for all its violence, its lifespan is short. The blaze burns brightly, and then it dies. What few understand is that real power is not found in the loud spectacle of flames, but in the quiet persistence of embers. Embers don't scream for attention. They smolder, unyielding, waiting for the moment to ignite again. Machiavelli believed in that kind of power, the power of silent fire, reserved, deliberate, enduring. There is strength in silence, a strength that the loud and reactive can never understand. Noise is uncontrolled, desperate and fleeting. Silence is measured, strategic, and eternal. When you master silent persistence, you are no longer tossed around by storms. You become the storm brewing far beneath the surface, invisible but inevitable. A storm that destroys not in haste, but in its unrelenting patience. To Machiavelli, silence was louder than action. He understood that the less people know of your moves, the more they fear your influence. And here lies the secret to the art of silent fire. You do not announce your victories, nor do you declare your intentions. You endure, you grow, you stay calm. Think of fire buried beneath the ashes, ready to rekindle when necessary, but impossible to extinguish entirely. Why are you speaking so much? Why are you pleading to be understood or rushing to be seen? Could it be that your anger is screaming louder than your strategy? Because if you want people to dread losing you, they must learn to fear the quiet, the stillness before the strike. To wield this kind of power, you must temper your emotions and let silence do the heavy lifting. Emotionally, this is a terrifying shift for most people. You've been taught to argue, to state your case, to fight openly for your space. But those habits are weaknesses, explosions that let the enemy see exactly where you stand. Silence, on the other hand, allows you to disappear into the fog, untraceable until you decide to act. When you stop speaking, they keep guessing. When you stop explaining, they start assuming. And when you move slowly, without revealing exactly where you'll strike, they cannot prepare for you. Imagine this. You're in a room of loud voices all clawing for attention, while you sit silently. They grow restless, their eyes darting toward you. Each passing second of your silence squeezes their nerves tighter. They wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, why you don't care to participate in their chaos. That silence is not weakness. It's power, a fire that burns in the background while the room consumes itself in noise. And yet, silence is not enough on its own. Persistence must accompany it. Silent fire is not about hiding, it's about enduring. Machiavelli believed power was a long game, not won in petty confrontations but in steady, deliberate movements over time. He wrote, "It is not the strong that survive, but the patient and resourceful." Can you endure disappointment without reacting? Can you take setbacks quietly and let time rebuild your position? Or will you yell at the world, wasting your fire on battles too small to matter? This is how silent fire becomes unstoppable. You learn to conserve your energy. Instead of battling every slight, every insult, every loss, you watch and wait. With each moment of quiet endurance, your strength builds. Your enemies fight themselves while you grow sharper. And when the time comes to act, you've reserved every ounce of power for that decisive moment. Ask yourself this: are your emotions screaming and being ignored, or is your silence forging something impossible to counter? Machiavelli understood that the preservation of power depends not on how much you take, but on when and how you take it. Your silence isn't passivity. It's a declaration that everything comes on your terms. Control isn't about fighting every battle. It's about winning a war they didn't even know you were planning. But let's be clear, mastering this strategy is not easy. Silence will test you. It will push you to the edge of discomfort. You'll want to justify yourself, to react in anger, to prove you're right. Resist. Silence trains you to bear not only your own doubts, but also the weight of others. The more disciplined you become, the more overwhelming your silence feels to those around you. Think of it like shadowboxing. They're throwing punches at someone they can't even see. Every swing exhausts them, and every moment you stay grounded makes them weaker. This is why silence paired with persistence creates fear. Fear of what you're doing. Fear of what you'll do next. Fear of what they cannot predict. Let their noise exhaust them. Let their questions remain unanswered. Let them scramble while you wait. Then when the time is right, strike with precision and let the fire you concealed beneath calm embers roar again. They'll never forget it, not because you were loud, but because you were silent until you couldn't be ignored. If this concept feels dangerous, that's because it is. But power has never been kind and silence has never been soft. Let's keep building your silence and sharpen its edge. Subscribe now, because the next strategy unveils a secret sharper than fire itself. The lesson only deepens from here. What terrifies them most is not what they see. It's what they cannot. The loud declare their intentions, expose their weaknesses, invite resistance. The unseen control from a distance, leaving only whispers and uncertainty in their wake. Machiavelli believed that true power thrives in darkness. He admired those who ruled not by bluster but by mystery, the king in the shadows, unseen, unknowable, unstoppable. To rule from the shadows is to master the art of intentional invisibility. You are not the loudest voice in the room. You are the one who commands the loud to speak for you. What happens in your absence holds greater weight than anything unveiled in your presence. Imagine it. A crowded room, all eyes darting to fill the gap you left behind. Invisibility is not retreat. It's a maneuver, a deliberate withdrawal that forces others to feel the gravity of your absence. But silence and shadow are not the same. Silence waits. Shadows move. To become a shadow king, you must embrace the discipline of calculated invisibility. Think of your presence as currency. Spend too much of it and its value diminishes. Make them earn every moment they get with you. Withdraw when you see them grow complacent. Reappear only when their attention is at its sharpest, when they've begun to wonder why you were gone at all. Ask yourself, are you begged for your time or pitied because you're always available? This isn't a rhetorical question, it's a mirror. Visibility without demand is weakness. Presence without mystery is dependency. Would you rather be the center of attention for an hour, or the subject of obsession for a lifetime? Consider this. When a king grows predictable, his enemies organize. When his availability becomes a certainty, his worth fades. The Shadow King denies both. He cloaks himself not to avoid confrontation, but to provoke uncertainty. The loud give their strength away. The unseen make them guess, overthink, and stumble into self-destruction. Machiavelli understood this with clarity. He wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved." But the Shadow King twists this further. It is better to be imagined than known. Fear thrives in imagination. It grows in gaps, in silences, in incomplete stories. Power isn't what they know about you. It's what they think they know but can never confirm. Think of a shadow stretching across a battlefield at sunset. It shifts and expands, creating unease without ever raising a weapon. It's a metaphor, not just for power, but for how control operates at its peak. Direct confrontation is unnecessary because what the shadow represents is far more terrifying than the reality. You become not just a presence but an enigma, one that looms larger in their minds than in the physical world. But never mistake invisibility for passivity. The Shadow King remains active behind the veil. He plants ideas, manipulates perspectives, and quietly influences outcomes. It's the absence that creates leverage. When you're not everywhere, everything pulls toward you. When you're not speaking, your silence speaks for you. The less you show, the more they obsess over what you might reveal next. To master Shadow Kingship, you must tame your ego. Understand that true control is not validation, it's detachment. Most people are slaves to their pride, desperate to be recognized, credited, admired. But recognition is fleeting, and pride is fragile. You cannot afford to need either. The Shadow King doesn't seek applause but plays the long game, a sustained dominion over hearts and minds that grows stronger the less visible he becomes. Let me ask you this. Would they notice if you disappeared for a day? Would they panic if you vanished for a month? If the answer is no, then you're too present, too predictable. The goal isn't to vanish entirely, but to curate your presence, so that even a brief moment of your time becomes something they value above all else. Scarcity is what defines royalty. No one ever begs for what is abundant. And when the time comes to reappear, you re-emerge on your terms, not with a loud proclamation, but with quiet certainty. A shift in the atmosphere, a moment where they realize they need you more than they'd ever admit. This is not luck, this is strategy. Every step you take is calculated. Every moment you withdraw is intentional. Absence becomes your greatest ally, and their imagination becomes your greatest weapon. This is the essence of Shadow Kingship, a commanding presence rooted in absence. You are not the figure in the spotlight. You are the shadow that shapes it. You are not chasing loyalty or affection. You are making them come to you, desperate not to lose what they don't fully understand, but cannot bear to live without. This game feels forbidding, doesn't it? But now you're starting to understand. Cold kings rule forever. If this strategy feels dangerous but true, subscribe. The next lesson will sharpen your edge even further, revealing how perception itself can become your most fearsome weapon. What you see is only part of the truth. The rest, the larger part, lives in the shadow of perception. What they believe, what they imagine, what they presume about you matters far more than what's real. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see but few can feel." It's a grim truth, but one you must adopt if you wish to master the art of control. Reality is irrelevant. Perception is everything. Imagine this. Two kings step onto the battlefield. One wears battered armor, but his eyes blaze with focus. The other sparkles in gold, his troops shining beside him. Which one would you fear? You don't know their strength, their strategies, or their weaknesses, but you will judge immediately and ruthlessly based on what you see. The battlefield hasn't been won, yet one king has already lost without even raising a sword. That, right there, is the weapon of perception. If you wish to forge an aura that others dread losing, you must understand this principle. It doesn't matter who you are, it matters who they think you are. Every action, word, and silence is a brushstroke on the canvas of how they interpret you. The problem? Most people let others paint that picture for them. Their image is accidental, reactive, and fragile. But perception need not be accidental. It can and must be deliberate. Machiavelli understood that what controls people is rarely truth. It's the story they believe. He crafted his advice not for saints or martyrs, but for those willing to dictate the narrative. In your life and your reputation, you must learn to dictate what others see. Controlled modesty, deliberate unpredictability, or acting disinterested while holding tension beneath the surface. These are the tools of power. Perception will do the work for you. But crafting an aura is more than just theater. It's a weapon. People act not on what is real, but on their understanding of it. For example, speak rarely and let your words linger longer in their memory. Adopt a poised stillness and they will assume you're calculating, even if you aren't. Behave with reserved confidence, and they will presume strength, even in your quietest moments. Every deliberate signal will seem accidental to them, and their perception will quietly build the chains. But how does this work emotionally? It begins with restraint. Most people are desperate to be seen, eager to defend their accomplishments, quick to react whenever their ego feels threatened. Don't fall into that trap. By reacting openly, you pour your power into the hands of others. In contrast, preserving a sense of uncertainty forces them to do the emotional labor, to imagine, overthink, and even fear you. They will construct you as larger than life, not because of who you are, but because of what they cannot see. This is where the true power of perception lies, in scarcity. A rare glimpse holds more power than constant access. When you are seen too often, they grow familiar, and familiarity breeds indifference. But when you control your presence, your words, your actions, even your silences, you turn familiarity into fascination. Your absence will leave them craving answers. Now, reflect for a moment. Are you seen clearly or only accidentally? Think of your own relationships, the assumptions people make about you. Do they choose to follow because they respect your aura? Or are you simply in their line of sight, unremarkable and replaceable? What would happen if you edited yourself? If you became only partially visible, hinting instead of declaring, withdrawing instead of explaining? This strategy doesn't make you a liar. It makes you a strategist. Manipulating perception is not deceit, it's control. You're not creating falsehoods. You're curating what people choose to focus on. The loud, the reactive, the ones who expose everything are easy to predict, easy to dismiss. The ones who move quietly, sculpt their image with intent and leverage the unseen are untouchable. They wield perception like a blade, unseen but devastating. But make no mistake, this art of perception demands discipline. It means resisting the urge to be understood. It forces you to withhold, to remain silent when every impulse demands you reveal yourself. It's a test of patience, ego, and clarity. Most people fail because they crave recognition, validation, and the approval of those around them. They set their story on fire with ripples of desperation. But you, if you can master restraint, you will master perception. And with it, you will command more than their attention. You will command their thoughts. Picture this. You leave a room after saying little. The people inside talk about you, not because you said too much, but because you said so little. They had to fill the void themselves. They speculate about your intentions. They amplify your strength with every guess. What they think of you now has nothing to do with the person you are, and everything to do with the story they've written about you. Machiavelli's brilliance lay in his understanding of this truth. He knew that control over oneself wasn't enough. You needed control over the eyes and minds of others. Power doesn't require proof. It only requires belief. And belief builds itself on perception. Once you accept this, your reputation will no longer be a fragile thing, vulnerable to gossip and whim. It will become a fortress, one where every word, every silence, every move strengthens its walls. So ask yourself one last question. Do you guide what others see, or are you at the mercy of their assumptions? If this lesson feels dangerous, but true, subscribe. The final strategy sharpens the blade further, revealing how even loyalty itself can be turned to your advantage. Don't let this chance slip by. The game only grows darker from here. Loyalty. Such a sweet word, isn't it? People swear they will be loyal, they chant declarations, and they trade promises like trinkets in a market. Yet underneath this shiny veneer, loyalty is merely a mirage, an illusion that shifts with the light. Machiavelli valued loyalty for what it could appear to be, not for what it truly is. When loyalty is built on expectation rather than earned respect, it dissolves like mist at dawn. Picture a reflection in the water. It shimmers invitingly, but as you reach for it, it ripples, and vanishes. Loyalty is much the same. It sparkles until it requires something of you, until it demands consistent trust or provable reciprocation. The harsh lesson here: loyalty is fluid, not fixed. To maintain its illusion, you must master the dark skill of withholding complete trust while feigning the same loyalty back to those you manipulate. Imagine you're in a game where betrayal is inevitable. Rather than viewing betrayal as failure, shift your perspective, control its timing. If you can skillfully delay your trust and only give it when it serves your purpose, you maintain the power. This is a shrewd maneuver, a chess move made in the shadows, unseen yet impactful. Those who surround you must earn your loyalty, just as you must earn theirs. Reciprocity must be a dance, not a given. Consider the metaphor of a mirage once more, an ever-shifting reflection. Like shadows in the twilight, loyalty hangs in delicate balance. It is yours to give or withhold. Only extend it when there is value in that exchange, and when you are assured it does not weaken your position. This will transform not just how they see you, but how they choose to act around you. Will they risk losing the illusion of your loyalty? Or will they protect it with their actions? Now ask yourself, what is more powerful, the loyalty you're given or the loyalty you choose to show? The answer lies in the control you exert over this illusion. If loyalty is a tool, handle it with care. Don't let others think you are easily swayed by their proclamations or emotional outbursts. Let them think they are secure under the guise you've constructed, while all the while you are calculating, observing, and waiting. Machiavelli understood very well that loyalty, like love, is never unconditional. He believed that control was absolute, whereas love was optional. Apply this lesson to loyalty. Those who appear as loyal friends may well be your most significant threats if you mistake their affection for devotion. The minute you act needy for their loyalty, you lose the power dynamic. They gain leverage over your actions and you become the pawn in their game. Here's where the true skill of loyalty lies. Make others believe they hold your loyalty close while you carry theirs as an afterthought. Like a mirage shimmering just out of reach, let them think they possess your trust. Maintain an air of indifference and keep your cards close to your chest. They won't see betrayal coming if you play your pieces carefully. This kind of manipulation is not evil. It's anatomy in the game of power. To practice this, begin to observe those around you. Gauge their reactions when your support isn't guaranteed, when their loyalty feels uncertain. The true measure of their attachment to you lies in how quickly they adapt. Do they seek to strengthen their bond, or do they vanish when the stakes grow higher? This reveals the authenticity of loyalty and gives you the insight you need to navigate the fog of relationships. You'll begin to see loyalty through a new lens, one that reflects its ephemeral nature. The more you become aware of this shifting reality, the more control you have. True loyalty can never be demanded, only mirrored, and if you understand that, you're finally ready for the last strategy. Keep this principle close, for in your hands lies the greatest power, the ability to pivot, to withdraw, to mirror only that which serves you most effectively. Remember, loyalty is a mirage, one that you can alter at will. With your understanding of it, you wield power that feels paradoxical, a soft power, one that isn't about aggression or confrontation, but about the art of perception and deliberate withholding. As you navigate this landscape, your presence will gain the gravitas of a looming shadow. Others will prioritize their actions and shift their perspectives to maintain their grip on the illusion of your loyalty. If this resonates as a dark but illuminating truth, it's time to take action. Prepare yourself for the final lesson, one that transcends loyalty and dives deeper into the depths of human connection. The game is far from over.